The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good day to everybody joining the first in our 5-part webinar, live webinar series, Digital Trailblazers, brought to you by Yash Technologies and our friends at Microsoft and Tech Data. Super excited to kick this event off with my colleague Praveen Kumar, and I've done a lot of thinking over the long holiday weekend. If I were in the audience today, instead of working with Praveen, what would I be looking to get out of today's event? And it really came down to a couple of nuggets. And that is, as we've navigated this historic business disruption, there's been a lot of things that have come to all of our minds about how can I run my business or my department more efficiently? How can I drive even more value out of services or products that we may already have on the balance sheet? And today's episode is going to be the first in those installments that can answer those questions around Microsoft services. And today specifically around how Power Apps can support those executive level functions or those enterprise level functions. But that's on the surface. Those are things that we've all thought of, and the value that the thought leadership from Praveen and our list of panelists that we're really fortunate to have with us today can bring to this initiative. But more so the second part. And those are the nuggets that maybe we haven't thought of. Those things that haven't popped into our head of how we can make our departments or our businesses run more efficiently and with more value. And that's really the light bulb that went off for me as I was thinking about what's in it for the audience in taking part in an initiative like this. It's going to that next level and walking away with, wow, I've never even thought of that before. That's a question that hadn't even come to mind, and I took away some valuable information from the Yash Technologies Digital Trailblazer series, and I want to watch the next 4 episodes and get even more out of it. So that's what we're going to ask you for in episode number 1, is to really dive in, roll up your sleeves, and take as much value out of it as you can, but also be patient, because there's a lot of other good stuff that's going to be coming up in episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5, because today's just the start. We're going all the way every Tuesday till June 23rd with a new episode, a new list of questions, new list of topics. So with that said, I'm super excited to join you today. My name is John Gretter, Vice President with Yash Technologies. As I've touched on, I've got all kinds of pride in being able to partner with Praveen Kumar, and Praveen will introduce himself in just a few moments now. But we've got an action-packed hour planned, and it's not here to listen to me ramble on about why I think this is going to be a great hour. It's more getting into it, and I want to take this opportunity to start introducing our panelists who are really going to be the catalyst to this event. And we'll start off with just a brief introduction by each of our panelists so you can get to know them a little bit, and we'll round that out with an introduction of Praveen. So with no further ado from me, I'd like to turn it over to Rachel. Rachel, go ahead and give the audience an introduction and a little bit of background on you.
Great. Yes. Hey, everybody. I'm Rachel Young. I'm happy to be here today. I work for Brewer Science, and I'm a PMO director there. So basically, I facilitate projects as they pertain to the corporate resources portfolio. So previously, I led the enterprise apps team, which included ERP and custom development. So that's a little bit about me.
Thanks, Rachel. And Ashish, have you up next, please.
Hi, guys. This is Ashish Patel. I head IT for information technology for Neon Code in America. I'm responsible for business systems as well as infrastructure projects all over America. Neon Code is a medical devices company, and I'm super excited to contribute as well as learn from the panel as well as the audience regarding Power Apps.
Ashish, thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing your questions and your interaction with the group today. Doug, a little bit about you, please, sir.
Hi, everybody. Doug Morey, an IT leader with about 30 years experience, largely in the SAP realm. I spent a lot of time working in high-tech, aerospace and defense, and pharmaceutical industries, and I'm very interested to participate in this today and to hear everything that the Power Apps can do for us.
Perfect. Doug, let's turn it over to Prasoon. Prasoon, if you could give us your background.
Hi, everyone. This is Prasoon Sinha. I'm really excited to be here and speaking with all of you. I'm the Chief Digital Officer for Arcadis North America, and really here to share some of the stories that we've seen in Arcadis with Power Apps, but also ask a lot of questions to the folks here. So excited to be here and speak with you soon.
Soon, appreciate it. Raina, I have to tell you, I'm envious of your background there. You've got all of your certificates and everything behind you. I'm feeling underaccomplished by viewing your background there. So please introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background on you.
Well, I'm cheating a little bit because I always work from home. So I'm sure you guys all have the nice setup in your offices, but this is my permanent office, not just during COVID. My name is Raina Nola. I work at Stryker, which is a medical device company, for those of you who don't know. I'm a program manager in our PMO, so we look at the processes and tools that our project managers can use as our project management information system. So looking forward to learning more about Power Apps, and I'm hoping to engage a lot of you in the discussion. Thanks.
Raina, I appreciate you making us all feel better too about our backgrounds. That was very nice of you. And last but certainly not least, BJ, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am BJ Meyer, CIO for Higginbotham. Higginbotham is an insurance agency based in Fort Worth, Texas, with offices now starting to spread across the U.S. coast to coast, mainly in the commercial insurance space. I'm really honored to be a part of the panel today and look forward to discussing Power Apps.
BJ and everybody on the panel, thank you for the introductions and look forward to hearing the interaction, as I said, as we go through this next hour. Without further ado, though, I need to take a moment and allow my colleague to introduce himself. And for any of you in the audience that haven't had an opportunity to engage with Praveen Kumar, you're in for a treat here, because Praveen, without a doubt, has the most passion for any service or any product of anybody that I have the opportunity to work with. And you can tell by the smile starting to creep into his face right now, he can't hide it. And once you get Praveen wound up, just stand back and enjoy the show. So the biggest challenge that I'm going to have today is keeping Praveen on task and in path, but I'm not going to embarrass him anymore. Praveen, please introduce yourself to the group viewing today.
Thank you so much, John, for those kind words. So I am super excited to be on this webinar. So we've been planning for this webinar for almost 2 months. You guys don't believe there's a lot of planning work going on. And first and foremost, before I introduce myself, I wanted to give a special thanks to my team. They have worked day and night to make this webinar possible. So as you guys know, there's a lot of groundwork that needs to happen, whether it is related to the collaterals, related to the demos, related to the preparation, or the social, the content and everything. So, these guys have done an amazing job to make this happen today. Special thanks to them. Thank you guys, my team, the PTG team, and the Microsoft Service Line team, and the marketing team. So about me, so most of you already know me. So my name is Praveen Kumar. I head the Microsoft practice for Yash Technologies. So overall 20 plus years of experience, started my career working at Microsoft at Redmond, Seattle, been part of one small product that we have built, couple of products back in the day. When we were all working with a Sharepoint, we really don't know what the product was. The code name was actually Tahoe. And then, we spent a lot of time building that product. And then after that, during 2006 and 2007 timeframe, again, I was back at Microsoft building another product for Microsoft. It's called MEC, Microsoft Enterprise Cube. So this is specifically targeted for all so got an opportunity to travel the world, almost been to 18, 19 countries, did that deployment. So very excited, very proud to be presenting all of these things to you today. And today, as John was saying, so we packed an actionful 1 hour. So we have some questions coming in from all the digital leaders across the industry. Plus, we have also built some cool demos. So everybody, when you talk about Power Apps, so everybody thinks that this is a low-code, no-code platform. Yeah, part of that is true. But then we are not in a game to build a low-code, no-code applications. We have always envisioned to build an enterprise level scale of an applications, and today exactly the same thing that we would be discussing. And also we have built some cool demos which we will be showing to you guys in later part of the session. Thank you.
Praveen, thank you very much for that background, and you learn something new every day. I had no idea you'd had all of that travel and visited all those different countries. So I learned a little bit during your intro as well. So for the viewers that are out there, how is this going to work, and what can you expect in the next 50 minutes or so? There's really going to be 4 segments to focus on. The first of those segments is the questions from our thought leaders, the IT leaders that make up our panel today. And they have some insightful questions that go to the core of things that have come up during the business disruption that we've all been experiencing. And the nuggets that you can take away from that is that's where the things that maybe have come to your mind already, and maybe those things that haven't come to your mind, and you can take those back to your companies and your teams and help you evolve out of the pandemic as we're all starting to get back to business and finding out what the new normal is going to look like. So that will be the first segment. And then we'll move into what Praveen just discussed about a demo or two that he's going to be sharing with the audience that directly supports where we're going with our panelists and the topics that we're going to cover off on with our panelists. And then quickly, as we wrap up, there will be an opportunity for all of you in the audience to submit a question if you have one. There's also going to be a way for you to submit questions offline that Praveen and his team can answer as we evolve out of session number 1 and get ready for episode number 2 next week. And then finally, the raffle. And I'm not going to go any further in the raffle. I don't want to bury the lead too much there. I'll save that for Praveen to get everybody fired up at the end of the webinar. But I will say it's worth it to hang on till the very, very end for when Praveen shares how that raffle is going to work and how maybe you can take a little bit of fun away from the webinar series as well. So we're going to jump right into the first segment then, and that's the questioning part of this from our panelists, and really get down to finding out what some of those trials and tribulations have been, and some of the aha moments that they've had during their business disruption and how they've managed it on their own. And with that, I'd like to open it up to Rachel. And Rachel, I think you've got a really insightful question to get things started off. Rachel, please.
Yeah, definitely. So when you say Power Platform is a low-code, no-code platform, does that mean a lower development cost and time as the effort required would be less? Or like compared to traditional application development cost and time, how much lower would the Power Apps development time and cost be?
Yeah, excellent question, Rachel. So this is what I was kind of alluding earlier. So the general perception in the audience, in the general thinking about Power Apps, everybody thinks that this is a low-code, no-code platform. Anybody can get started and then start building the app. But I think over the period of time, we work with many customers across the US, okay? So Fortune 50 to Fortune 100 customers. So over the period of time, when organizations started opening their gates for the Power Apps, so everybody starts to go ahead and then start creating an app. But over the period of time, it created some chaos in terms of who created this Power App, why this Power App is created, what is the business justification, and things like that. It started creating chaos. And again, if you look at just for the Power Apps, so this serves for the low-code, no-code platform. You have some idea, you are doing some, collecting some input, and then behind the scene you have a workflow, and then you wanted to store some data somewhere. So this is a typical need, right? So when you talk about an application, so with the Power Apps, anybody who has a little bit of understanding of an Excel, they can come and then start creating a Power App. But then when it comes to the actual live or make this application live, if you were to do this application in other technologies versus Power App, so the time to market is pretty faster. So literally, you don't have to build a farm. You don't have to write any code. There is no code behind. So all you have to do is, drag, select the type of app that you want, whether you want a, model-driven app or a canvas app, and then, start building the app. And then, within a minute, so you would have an app. So I have seen customers building this app, less than a few days to less than a week. So it really saves the cost and then, saves the time to market. So that's the type of a power that a Power Apps can, give it to a what Microsoft calls as a citizen developer. So, so they can get these type of things in the Power Apps.
Sure.
Great, thanks, Praveen. Appreciate that. Rachel, thank you very much. Rachel, we'll come back to you in just a few more moments. Ashish, I have you down as a question for Praveen as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I oversee IT for medical devices, and our big customers are hospitals. One of the toughest challenge we have is working in an offline environment. So the question to Praveen is, can we develop a Power App or a platform to capture data in offline mode? So we need an app to record hospital data when there is no Wi-Fi network. Basically, our account executives are going in the hospitals and they want to know what products are compatible with existing products they have in the hospital, the install base. So yeah. Can we do it all?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question again, Ashish. Yes, so Power Apps allows this feature. They have an offline capability, plus they also have something called in-app memory. So basically in-app memory, so you can configure and then you can start enabling that offline capability. So most of the customers that we personally work with are from manufacturing background. So especially when you talk about a manufacturing background, you have plants and you have facilities and things like that. So all of these operators, when they go into the plant, obviously there is no good signal and things like that, right? So, but still they wanted to interact with the app. They wanted to take a picture of certain things, because most of the apps that we have built and then pushed into the manufacturing platform, all of these apps have AI capabilities, machine learning and algorithm capabilities that we have built in. And all of these things need to work in offline capability. And obviously, when you have these things, so AI and everything doesn't kick in, but it allows you to still use the app, still take a picture, still make some notes and things like that. And then whenever you connect it to the network, maybe you reach to a strong point within the facility or in your hospital or wherever. So wherever you have a strong point, it'll connect and then it'll send the data back over to the cloud. And once the data is reached to the cloud, whether we are using Azure to make some decisions on the information that has come, or we are using a Sharepoint or a MongoDB to collect the data, whatever the scenario may be. So, once you connect, those decisions will be made on the cloud. And then once those decisions are done, we will push the data back into your Power Apps.
Thank you very much. Looks very promising.
Yep.
Doug, I can tell you're itching to ask a question. I've got you in my pain there. What question do you have for Praveen or any of the other panelists?
So my first question really is pretty straightforward, and it's around licensing. How is Power Platforms licensed?
Yeah, excellent question. Again, a lot of the people, even from the audience or the customers who are getting started with the Power Apps, so they wanted to know how this works, right? So many organizations that traditionally have Office 365, when we start about Office 365, everybody starts with the email or SharePoint or OneDrive and things like that. So that's a starting point. But what a lot of customers don't realize is, so you're already paying a ton of money or a ton of subscriptions that you're already using on Office 365, whether it is E1, E3, or E5. So starting from E3 and upwards, so E3 and E5, you would get the Power Apps capability. So basically, the point here that I'm trying to make is, so if an organization already has an Office 365 subscription in an enterprise agreement mode, they already have a Power Apps included. But you have a unique situation, right? So maybe you don't want to get it with the Office 365 E1, E3 or licenses. So I wanted to uniquely license this, and then I want to go by license. Can I do that? The answer is yes. And also, you can basically mix and match your subscription, whether let's say your organization has part of licenses from E1, E3, and E5, right? So you can mix these things. So between E1, E3, and E5, E3 and E5, and then E3 will, E5 will give you more features in terms of the Power BI, additional security and additional compliance features. But traditionally, this is how it works.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Praveen, thanks again. Raina, what is burning a hole in your brain to ask of Praveen right here? What insight can he lend for you?
Yeah, so I would say currently we have a lot of different platforms which require heavy IS support. So I'm wondering, in terms of Power Apps, what level of training is required for non-IS users to be able to configure a form in Power Apps?
Yeah, absolutely. So I could definitely answer this question, but I truly think that it makes more sense if a colleague from Microsoft, her name is April Dunham. She is very popular personality in the Microsoft ecosystem. She has got her own website. She has got her own channel in YouTube. She also, has delivered many keynotes or many presentations across the, in many events. So I would let April to answer this question. April.
Yeah, thanks, Praveen. So first of all, I love this question. So one of the things that I love about Power Apps specifically is that there really is a low barrier to entry. Very little training is actually required to get started with Power Apps. Kind of like what Praveen alluded to earlier, if you know Excel pretty well, and then if you know PowerPoint, you can get started with Power Apps with just in a matter of minutes to hours, building a simple application. And there's great, documentation and guided learning out there. So there's even a Power Apps template called the Power Apps training template that you can use to teach yourself how to build a Power App. There's great Microsoft Learn documentation out there as well for Power Platform fundamentals that you can take to get you started. So very little needed. If you know Excel, PowerPoint, you can get started building an app. Now, obviously, we like to say that Power Apps is a no-cliffs experience, so you can start off very simple and build great basic applications, but then you can go, full-scale enterprise level, connecting to things like cognitive services. And obviously, if you want to extend the platform like that, then you might need a little bit more training and stuff, but to get started, very little training needed.
Yeah, thank you, April.
Great, thank you, guys.
Yeah, I love the ease of getting up and running on this. Everybody's going to be looking for ways to do this as efficiently as possible, especially when we get back to business as normal or whatever that's going to look at. Rachel, back to you with your next question.
Yeah, so we're always looking at how to govern our platforms. So really my question is, can I see a list of users who have created Power Apps and then the number of Power Apps that they have created themselves? Is there any sort of reporting based on that level of data?
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent question again, Rachel. So what we have is we have something called Center of Excellence in Power Apps. I mean, by default, Microsoft provides all of these details to you. But then if you want any additional details, so there is a template that's already out there in the Power Platform system. So we can go ahead and then get that template downloaded and then installed and configured in our environment. So once we have that template, right, so it gives you multiple features. So that basically allows you to see how many Power Apps were created per environment and who created it and when it was created and what was the actual usage of this Power App, and also if this Power App was shared internally and externally, so how is that mechanism that is done, and all sort of statistics that you can see on the Power Apps platform with the Center of Excellence template that is out there. But within Yash Technologies, what we have done is we have taken this Center of Excellence tool, the template, and then we have extended it further out to add more features into it. So sometimes our customers comes back to us and then ask hey, I wanted to know some specific details on when this Power App is shared externally with a guest user with the external access. So we wanted to know when was this app actually accessed, did they download any data from us? So things like that they wanted to know. So what we have actually done is we have extended this Center of Excellence tool and added our own features into it. And we felt these features are very, very useful and important to the customer. And again, if anybody is interested to see what is there in that Center of Excellence tool, at any point in time, we can show the audience and we can show you guys the demo. So this is one of the excellent features that we have built inside the Power Apps.
Great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like, Praveen, that's a feature that you'll be able to really roll up your sleeves and share with not only the audience, but any of the panelists in greater detail on a one-on-one type of a basis.
Absolutely. Yep.
I could see the smile coming on your face when you started getting wound up about that. That obviously is something that you have a lot of passion around. Yeah. I know I've got a lot of topics and a lot of questions coming from the panelists, and we haven't heard from a couple of you yet. I'll do my best to get to everybody. I've got Prasoon up next, then Raina, and then BJ. I promise, as soon as Raina gets done asking her question, we'll let you get in there with your first one. So Prasoon, thank you, and welcome to this portion of the webinar. Go ahead.
Well, thanks, John. First, let me start by saying that I'm really impressed with how Microsoft is launching these tools, primarily because it empowers people to be able to do things better for themselves and for their companies. And so it's great stuff. We've been using Power Apps for a while now, and the good part is Microsoft keeps coming up with new features every now and then. So every week there is a new feature. The bad part is that everybody has to run around and then figure out those features quickly. The features part is okay. As soon as the business model changes, that's when it becomes a big problem, because you have to spend money from your company or from the clients that you're serving. So my question is, how do we know? In October 2019, I think the business model changed for Power Apps, and we had an enterprise deployment of Power Apps by then, about 5,000 people or even more being served. But then the business model changed. So what is the business model right now? If we were to continue serving our people with the existing Power App deployments or new Power App deployments, what's the business model for that? How much are we paying for that? And secondly, if we are serving our clients with Power Apps, so what's the business model for that? I know there's information out there, but it's not very clear to me.
Yeah, I think this mostly alludes into the specific thing that's out there within Microsoft. So we call that as a template. So let's say today with the features that are out there. So if you were to take maybe 1 year back, or maybe a couple of years back when Power Apps was pretty new at that time, so there was no AI builder, there was no virtual agents into that, or maybe Power Portal. So over the period of time, they keep on adding new features, as you said. So so those are the things that keep getting added. Let's say today we build one Power App, and then we share that with external customer, and these customers are start utilizing it. One of the good things that we could do in the Power App environment is each and every Power App maintains a version, and within that version, you would know why is this version released and when is this version released, and what are the features that you have added within the version, number one. And number two, while we are releasing this version, we can templatize this whole process. So let's say today you release 2.0. So 2.0, you're going after solving some specific problems or specific things or new things that you're adding. In your release notes or in your version details, you can add all of that, and then you can release. After 6 months or so, again, depending upon what we want to achieve and how frequently we want to release the versions, it is up to us to plan ahead. So this is what we have to do, before we are templatizing this whole process, or before we setting up the release management. So we have to think about all of those things. And again, whenever you're ready to do 2.0 or 3.0, so that's when we have to go back and then look what has changed. So for example, if I were to do AI builder feature 2 years ago, I would have to do the manual process. And today you no longer have to do the manual process, because Microsoft has given AI builder inbuilt for you. You don't need to write any logic. So things like that, I would validate. And then, as you rightly said, it's good and not so good at the same time. But I think everything has its own goods and not so goods, right? I think we have to take that as we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Prasoon. Thanks, Praveen. Raina, please. I can tell you're ready to go with question number 2.
Yep. So currently, part of our organization is using InfoPath 2013 form. So I'm wondering, how is Power Apps similar and different to SharePoint and InfoPath?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one of the topic is very close to my heart, because I've been working on a SharePoint environment for a very, very long time. So a lot of the people or a lot of the customers are already took a lot of advantage of InfoPath forms, and they built the InfoPath forms. Behind the InfoPath form, there's a designer workflow, or there is a custom workflow that has been built. And now I simply cannot move these over to SharePoint Online because all of these customizations that are there. And then I think there is an extended support. Next 2 or 3 years, Microsoft would still support the InfoPath forms, but InfoPath forms has got a lot of challenges. So the path forward, what Microsoft is recommending is that, so you would have to redo the whole thing in the Power Apps. So let's say there is a employee information that we are capturing. So that has been built in InfoPath form that had some workflow. It requires some approvals and things like that. So now the whole platform needs to be modernized using your front end as a Power App, and then behind the scene you have a Power Automate to take care of the workflow. So that's the way that we would do. And again, when we do this, so the features that you would get is InfoPath had a lot of challenges. So it is not responsive UI. It only works in IE and other Microsoft-related browsers. So we face a lot of those challenges. But once you come out of this and then get into InfoPath, so these are all any browser, any window, anything you could pretty much support, any mobile device it will support. So that's the beauty of it.
Great, thank you, Praveen.
Thank
BJ,
you.
I promised I would get to you. You've been patiently waiting. Please go ahead with your question.
Well, I thought I was going to get ignored for the rest of the session. I'm glad. I thought maybe I made Praveen mad at me or something. But I've got a pretty simple question. I mean, as you know from working with Higginbotham in the past, we've got a complex business, and we're in all sorts of different regions, and we operate in all sorts of different insurance verticals, and this makes it difficult to have any application meet 100% of different business units' needs. And so oftentimes we find that we need to be able to export data. And so what are my options with Power Apps? Can I export data into something like Excel or even just a PDF? And as much as we're a paperless company, we also sometimes have the need to be able to print things. So can I do all of that with Power Apps?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you brought that excellent point here, PJ. So everybody wants to go into the digital world, right? So the first thing that we want to do is digitize that entire process. So I'm glad you are already doing it, but I think still the challenge is sometimes we have to export the data, what is there in the app, could be into Excel format or a PDF format and things like that. So the reason why we do is many times we wanted to slice and dice the data, or maybe from some of the compliance purposes, so we need to maintain this as a document into a PDF and things like that. So good news for all of us is that Microsoft has already thought through all of these things. So they have given an option for us to export the data from your form into multiple form factors. So you can export this into Excel, and then obviously if you are able to get the data into Excel, so we can write a little bit of a configuration there, and then that will take care of exporting this into a PDF. So all of these options are available, so it makes your life very easy and simple to use this Power App. And the beauty of that is, so let's say with all of these O365 ecosystem coming together, so you have email in one part, you have Power Apps in the second end, and then you also have OneDrive. So imagine a situation, one of your field officers is at the customer, and then he's doing some collecting some details from the customer, and it has to go to underwriting. And then once the underwriting is done, you should have that power to actually generate a certificate of insurance on the spot. So with the power of this cloud features that are out there, so the field officer could do all of these, and then he can actually send an email using the Office 365 email, and then let the other guy know, and then he can review it, underwrite it, and then send it back. He can generate a PDF and then simply email it to the other person. Here is your certificate of insurance. How cool is that?
That's awesome. Well, thank you, and let's get started.
I'm already here, so when are we going to start?
Careful what you ask for, BJ. He's going to be on the phone with you as soon as this webinar finishes today, asking for the statement of work if you're not careful. I know we've got a lot of other great questions, a lot of other great topics to come up, and I'm going to do my best to get through all of them. Praveen, I think we have time for 4 more, and I've got Ashish, Doug, Prasoon, and then BJ. I know we kept you waiting, but we'll let you have the last word. So we'll go with Ashish, Doug, Prasoon, and then BJ, you'll get the last question of this segment. So with that, Ashish, please go ahead.
Great. My question is focused on integration. So we have enterprise systems like SAP for ERP management and Salesforce for CRM and Jira for issue tracking. How can Power Apps do the integration with all these external systems?
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad you asked that question, Ashish. So the part of the topic of today's webinar itself is, can Power Apps handle enterprise level applications? So when you talk about this enterprise level application, so your application not only be standing alone or integrated with other application, but it should have a capability to connect your line of businesses. So when you talk about your line of businesses, many of our customers where we do a business, so their ERP system and other things that are running, the CRM and other things that are running. So they have Salesforce, they have Dynamics 365 CRM, they have SAP, and then they have Jira for issue tracking and so on and so forth. The good news for all of us is, so Microsoft is constantly updating their connectors list, and then today they have over, I think, 270 or close to 300 connectors. So through these connectors, pretty much, any end software that you have or end product that you have, we should be able to connect. So again, within that connectors too, so they have a classification of a basic connectors and a premium connectors. So especially when you talk about SAP or especially you talk about a Salesforce, so that all falls under a premium connectors category. But traditionally, if you have a data that needs to be pulled in, pushed out, so all of those things you can pretty much do using these connectors. But even beyond that, it extends to an area where I have to do a lot of the cool things which you are going to be seeing in this demo. So all of those things, we have taken a power of Azure. So we have built a lot of Azure Cognitive Services, Azure APIs. We brought all of that APIs and Azure Cognitive Services integrated into Power App. So which is exactly I'm going to be showing you in the demo after 10 or 15 minutes.
Excellent. I can't wait, because if you solve the integration problem, Praveen, you'll be a hero.
Yes, Ashish. Yes, we will definitely show you that.
And Praveen, I know you're getting excited about the demo, and I got to ask you to hold that and bottle that in for just a couple more minutes. We've got a couple more questions to go through. Doug, what was your next question?
All right, so I'm going to follow on with what Ashish was asking around the whole integration piece of it. It's really around data synchronization. So is it possible to do a real-time synchronization with your line of business, or is this like some sort of a periodic job, batch job, something where you do a push and pull? How does that work?
Yeah, so this is an excellent question, Doug. So especially when you're talking to enterprise level scale customers, right? Again, I don't want to take my customer's name in the open webinar. So whenever I talk to them, so they have a complex business algorithm that is going on in some ERP systems, or some of the backend ServiceNow ticketing system, or maybe CRM system. So what they want is, they don't want to put a lot of traffic on the network, or maybe they don't want to send too many requests to the cloud. If it is a ServiceNow, it's a SaaS, and then Office 365 again a SaaS product. So they don't want to send a lot of requests on a daily basis. So some of the customers are coming back to us and saying, hey, instead of doing that, so I want to do it as a batch processing. So maybe in every 3 hours or every 4 hours, I want to send it. Knowing that it is not real time, but we are okay with that type of a data. We don't want to put too much of a pressure or too much of transactions here. So some of those customers are thinking in that way. But in other customers, so where we have actually built one of the predictive maintenance application using the power of Azure and AI analytics and things like that. So they wanted a real-time synchronization with SAP. So so when the guy goes into a shop floor and then looks at the machinery, and then he needs to know which plant he is in, or probably that's a wrong example, which machinery it is, what are the parts that are associated to this machinery, and then if a part is not available, so it needs to go into a back order. So all of these real-time transaction needs to happen through that app. But again, really what I'm trying to say here is, Power App supports both the things. So you could do a real-time interaction or a real-time integration, or you can do a batch processing as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The first one will be from Prasoon, and then we'll finish up with BJ. Prasoon, please to you.
Hi, Praveen. I think you need some time to breathe. Everybody's asking you easy questions, so you're just going. So I'm going to ask you a bit more difficult question, I guess.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, just kidding. So as we serve our clients, many of our clients kind of need very similar solutions at times, right? If you have a proposition. So as customers of Microsoft who are using these technologies, is it easy for us to create templates that we can then put in some sort of way where our clients can access it and easily test it out? And then we can finalize that for their deployment and then scale it across multiple clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that I wanted to share with you. So after this webinar, maybe you can take a look on it. So there is something called Power Apps Partner Showcase. So if you go to that website, so many partners like us, so they will be showcasing their Power Apps. So the advantage that you can see from there, that is, it'll give you some details about the product, what they have actually built on Power Platform, and it'll also let you play with that app. So what they have is that they have a test drive feature. So when you click on the test drive feature, you not only can experience that whole thing, and if you really like it, then you can take the full advantage of that product. So comparing that to your question that you asked, so we can pretty much build a whole template for you, and then we can put that into one environment, and anybody who wants to give an access to your customers, they can come in here. You can make it as a public to anybody. So basically anybody can come in and then test it if you want, or if you want to restrict by credentials, you can also do that. So they can come in here, they can test it, they like it, so you can release that whole thing as is to their environment. But as I was saying earlier too, so if you wanted to add additional features on top of what the templatization that was already done, so we can take that whole version back and then we can add more features into that. So that's how we would go about doing.
Thank you.
Prasoon, thank you so much. BJ, final question of this segment, please go ahead.
Sure. So earlier I heard April from Microsoft, and Praveen, you said something about this as well, about the ability to integrate Azure Cognitive Services into Power Apps. And so everybody wants to leverage AI and machine learning to fuel their business. So can you tell me a little bit more about how that's done and how that might be useful?
Yeah, absolutely. So this AI and cognitive services, right? So in my mind, if you really wanted to build some useful apps and some specific business solving problems that you are going after, I think that's where it'll come in handy. So for example, some of the things that I'll talk about. So we were talking to one of the healthcare lead that has come to us. So basically what they are looking after is, so imagine there is a patient going into an operational procedure. So the patient gets the operation done. After that, so the patient has a capability to take a picture of that wound and then send that wound picture back to the doctor or to the hospital, right? So now with the power of AI, you can actually predict when this wound is going to get healed, or looking at the the surface of that wound, can this get healed in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or does it or is it going to have any problems, or is it going to be any infections and things like that. So these type of a prediction models and algorithms we can build using the power of AI, and then bring all of those things into your Power App. So a couple of the things that we have also built is for the retina scan. So basically you can take a picture of your retina, and then based on your retina, so it can tell you, what's the glucose level, what's the body index, all of these things you can predict and then kind of show those details to your employees. So you want your employees to be fit and healthy, so you can build an app, something like this. So all of these, we are taking the power of Azure and cognitive services to build, the clever models within the Power App.
Fantastic. Sounds exciting.
Yep. Thank you. And which is exactly what I'm going to be showing in the demo right now.
That's what I was just going to say, Praveen. Without further ado, let's show everybody what you were just talking about.
Yep. So I am sharing my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen okay?
Praveen.
Not yet.
There we go.
Okay. So now Rahul, so how? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to be demoing today is there is this Power App that we have built. It's called Move Management. The way I'm going to be demonstrating this Power App today to all of you is through my Power App itself. So you're able to see my screen, okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I have the Power App here. So little details about this Power App. So basically this takes care of the move management. So if anybody is moving from one building to another building, so this app can be used. But the power of AI and the power of cloud that we added into this is really amazing. So I'll walk you through certain steps here. So obviously I click on next. So now as a new user, I am supposed to be raising a new request. So since this has been integrated with Active Directory, it already knows my details. It already knows my working station ID, my phone number, my current location, and things like that. So now what I really want to do is I wanted to use a power of Azure to show you the OCR capability here. So I'm going to be clearing the form. And now I'm going to be using the OCR. So as we can see, so I just scanned a barcode, and then it is showing me Jeff Trainer. So he wants to move from Chicago to another location. So, you know, without keying any details, so we were able to just scan a barcode, and then through that barcode, you know, we were able to put in. So again, you may ask, why do I need a OCR and a barcode capability here? So think of a situation, you're an employee, but you know, you're a manager. On behalf of somebody who's working for you, you need to submit that request. So here is where it comes in handy. So now I'm going to be showing one more cool feature here. I'm going to be clearing the form. So now the form is cleared. I'm going to be doing the facial recognition. So many of you remember doing the facial recognition or a face ID on your iPhone, but how cool would that be if you have a facial ID on your Power App itself? So now what we have done is, hi everybody, this is me. So it already identified who I am, you know, so it says, hello, Praveen Kumar, and then all the details are populated over here. So now I'm going on to next screen. So I wanted to go into Chicago OS. I think most of us are familiar doing the flight ticket booking and a flight ticket reservation, right? So when you go into a next step of the, you know, once you put in your personal details and things like that, it takes you to a, you know, section where you're allowed to select your own seat. So this is exactly what we have done here. So we have rendered the entire floor map, wherever this new employee is going to, right? So again, without even going there, he can see what his desk and how his desk is going to look like. In this situation, I'm going to be selecting, you know, the desk that is available for me. It says move to desk 702. Yes, it all looks good to me. I need 2 more boxes to put my stuff in the, you know, in that move. And if I want, I can put the business case, I can put the comments and things like that, and I can submit. So John, just checking, you all are able to see my screen okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, another integration, what we have done here is, so we have integrated this with ServiceNow. In real time, it is connecting to ServiceNow and cutting a ticket for me. So that incident ticket, now it is generated an incident for me. So now, the ticket has been created. Now I want to see the status of this. So I click on See Details. So it shows the request has been initiated. So it needs 2 more or 3 more steps to complete it. So now, again, lot of cool features are added here as well. So now, to pack with many other things, we also added both bots here. Okay, one is a chat bot, the other one is a voice bot. So let's demonstrate the chat bot here. So now I just submitted a ticket, right? So using my bot, I'm going to be, you know, submitting this ticket away or asking certain questions. So what is my ServiceNow ticket number? So this is again using the power of Azure. So we were able to connect to the database, and we were able to get the details of ServiceNow ticket that has been submitted by me. Okay. Now I can also ask other question like when is my move schedule, or what is the status of my move. So all of those questions I can ask. Now one other cool feature that I also wanted to show you here that is related to report an issue, right? So imagine you are in a some conference room in your office or in your organization. The minute you step into a conference room, how many times have you experienced that the mouse is not working, or the screen is not working, or the projector is not working, or the remote is broken, or you don't have a marker? So at least in my case, I have experienced these things many times, but I'm sure you also might have experienced these things. But how frustrating is that for you to open a ServiceNow or to open a ticketing system and put in I am in this floor, this building, this meeting number, this thing is broken, can you send somebody? So all of those things. But imagine with the power of AI, what we can do here. That is exactly what I'm going to be showing now. Report an issue. So I'm taking a picture of a mouse because I have an issue with a mouse. So my AI model predicts, what that is. So this is an issue with a computer mouse, and my current location is Allentown, Pennsylvania. So this is the building that I'm in, and this is the grid and desk. So it already populating all the details that already knows, and then all I have to do is just report this issue. You didn't enter a single word here. So that's the power of AI that you can build into. So now again, you see there is an email that is coming in, and it says there is a faulty object that was detected. And then it has gone to a, whoever is that person who's responsible, he can go there and then, take action for you. So now this is just a user perspective. Now, I also have the manager view. So I'm again switched into one more view. So as a manager, when you connect to your Power App, so imagine the employee has submitted a request, and then you wanted to see and look at these move requests that are coming to you. So with the manager view, you can see all the requests coming in here. Hopefully this opens. Come on.
It was working too smoothly, Praveen. You had to get challenged at some point in time.
Yeah, so probably, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it and open it again. Yeah, here we go. So these are all the pending requests for me to look at it, and then if I wanted to take any action, I can review and I can approve and things like that. And again, there are multiple things that we have packed into here. So that's just a demand that you can see. But then if I wanted to see the demand that is coming in, I can see by quarter, I can see the month, how is the demand is coming in, or I can see the demand coming in by location also. And one other cool thing that I also wanted to show you here, we have built an AI model into this that actually predicts your future moves. So this is the predictive maintenance that we have done. So with the historical data that's already there, so it is showing you January 2017. So they have moved this many people, and they needed 38 resources to move the 100 people into different locations. So now, if you were to, predict on this historical data that is there, so it is suggesting you 40 resources. Again, the point being to show you guys this demo is, this is a really cool demo that we have done where we have added the features of AI, and we have added the features of predictive maintenance and bot services and things like that. So again, with the Azure GPS and Azure real-time coordinations that we have done, mapping that is there, so a whole bunch of features that are added. So just to give you a sense of how Power Apps can be powerful to take the scale of enterprise level applications. So again, the general perception there is that it's a low-code, no-code environment, which is all good, but where you guys can take a help of Yash Technologies and ourselves is that we bring a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge building all of these things, using the power of AI and all of those things. So I think it is pretty evident from this demo that Power Apps can handle enterprise level applications.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Praveen. That again, learn something from all of these things, and I absolutely learned something there. That's great. With that being said, we've got just a few minutes left, and I know you want to wrap up with your next steps, so forth and so on. I do have a couple of great questions from the audience, and we'll try to get at least one or two of them in there. First one is, in my readings, Power Apps has mentioned the successor to InfoPath. We are currently using InfoPath 2013. Are there translation tools available to update existing InfoPath forms, or must one recreate existing InfoPath forms when using Power Apps?
Yeah. April, do you want to take that question? Or
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's not any tool that will take an InfoPath form and transform it into Power Apps. So it is going to be a rebuild scenario because they are completely different platforms and tool sets. Whereas, InfoPath was really focused kind of just on SharePoint in specific and XML based. Power Apps is a totally different beast. So yeah, there's no magic tool that will do that for you.
yeah. Thank you, April.
And one more, Praveen, and then we'll get into closing things up and explaining the next steps. But this is a great question. And for anybody else that submitted questions, I'll make sure I get these over to Praveen and his team, and he'll get answers to these questions within 24 hours. But last question of the day, Praveen, finally, a low-code tool is now a reality. Power Apps is a powerful solution as evidenced by this excellent presentation. Can you highlight any security considerations we should be mindful of? That is, the access to the underlying data source when designing and granting access to a Power App. Curious on your experiences.
Yeah, excellent question. I am not sure who asked that question, but this is an excellent question. So many of the organizations where we are implementing and then doing this Power App, so everybody is concerned and everybody is worried about their security. Are we exposing any data outside? Are we giving any access to any of these things? So anybody would have those concerns, but I think Microsoft has done an excellent job here to putting all sorts of security checks and balances in right place. So even in the European region, if somebody has to build a Power App that needs to have a GDPR compliance. So even the GDPR compliance is also in place with in Power App compliance that you can do. And again, whenever you are sharing or whenever you're thinking of sharing this with the external users or within your internal organization as well. So you need to be very, very careful about, what is the reason why these people needs to be sharing, and then, and why we need to be giving a guest access to, our apps or wherever we are exchanging the data. Let's say I'm pulling the data from SAP, or I'm pulling the data from ServiceNow or maybe other system. So there are ways you can basically encrypt and decrypt the data. So those are all available. But I think, overall, we never had any issues. So we have deployed large scale of applications for many of our customers. So we never had any issues related to security. But this is an excellent question, though.
Praveen, we've got just about a minute left. So I'm going to ask you to race through the raffle and the closing statements.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. So again, everybody patiently waiting here. So, all of you get an opportunity to spin the wheel. So here is the URL. So grab this URL, stick it in browser, and then, start spinning that wheel. And then you would be getting a chance to win an e-gift card. And as soon as, that you get a congratulation email, So our team in the background, they will deliver this e-gift card within 24 hours. Thank you
Fantastic.
all so much.
So all they have to do is just copy and paste that URL, and that'll take them directly to the ability to spin the wheel.
That's right.
Great.
Yeah.
Praveen, last thoughts. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any questions you have, please send an email to this mail ID, trailblazer@yash.com. And again, one last thing. Don't forget to attend the next, webinar, Plan for Organization Teams, Governance and Compliance. And all of this is related to security. So if anybody is interested, or if you want to learn more on this, so please make sure that you register and then attend on 2nd June at the same time, 2 p.m.
So thank you very much, Praveen. Thank you to all of our panelists, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody back in a week for organization governance and Microsoft Teams. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you in a week.
Thank you all.